Tell us a story.
Yes, tell us a story.
Alrighty, we are gonna start our day. It snowed again. Not too bad, a little bit. Get it all cleaned off here and get in and start our day. I think we definitely need to stop and get some petrol. It's been quite a few miles since the last time we got gasoline. Let's see, we got one, I believe. Yep, we got one LED, totally went poof, poof, poof. Got to definitely get some air in the tires pretty soon. But let's see if all the other lights are working. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that one went out. License plate light. That'll have to do for a while. Everything else except for that one LED's working. Whew. Get a little heat build up, seat belt on. I know that license plate light was on just the other day because I check it every day before I leave. One of my habits. Precautionary measures. Lights on, a little bit of heat, and gonna run to the gas station, get some petrol. Let's ride. Get on the right side of the road. Pump some gas.
I ain't going around for it.
Could I get number 5 on, please? Thank you. Alrighty. Kinda back in the day, as you see up there where that hose comes out, back in the day I can remember the hoses used to come down, loop, and then go way back up and hook to a stringer that was on a pull rod that had a wind-up mechanism in it, and then that wind-up mechanism would come back down again, so the actual hose would go down, back up, and down again, so it made for a really big loop. And there were people, this was back in the 70s when the gas crunch was first hitting kind of really hard. Oh, she's taking slow today. There we go. When the gas crunch was hitting really kind of hard, people were doing all kinds of odd things getting gasoline. where they would come and try, they were, you know, only letting you get so many dollars worth, and sometimes they would only let you fill up once a week, and it was all kinds of rules and regulations they were trying to do.
Almost got you.
You're good, buddy. Thank you.
For all four of us, $28 later.
Have a good one.
You too.
So anyway, back in the 70s, how that was, they would pull up to this gas pump, and it was usually like on Friday afternoon, Friday evening, people were getting gas for going to race at Killcare Raceway down at the drag strip. So they would come and get all their trailer, fuel it up, fuel the tank up on the race car, fill the extra tanks up, and then fill their tow vehicles up. I remember one individual would come and fill theirs up that would use separate gas pumps, and he would fill one up and shut the pump off. And at that time, the pumps, when you shut them off, shut off at the pumps. The ones that we have nowadays actually shut off at the nozzle, to where the nozzle won't work anymore when that pump is clicked off. So he would shut it off at the pump, which means there was gas left in that long, huge line. Now, I don't know, it might have been a pint, maybe 2 pints, maybe even a quart of gasoline would be left in that pump. And then he would hold and stretch the line out and pull that trigger and finish filling up whatever he was doing and get that much more gas. But the problem with the way those pumps were set up back then is that the next person that would come and turn that pump on, you wouldn't get any gas until that line filled up. So you were shorted 2 pints, a quart, whatever of gas on what you were paying. Now granted, even with the gas crunch back then, the gas wasn't all that much, you know, much cheaper than it is today, but he would do that for all of his fill-ups, and the way you could do it is you could pull up once, take up all the pumps, and use each pump on that side to fill up with the gas. So he was doing that, so he was getting like a gallon, maybe a gallon and a half, all throughout all the pumps, basically for free. And that means the next people that would come in would be getting shorted that gas because of the way the pumps were set up back then. Now they're not that way now, so it doesn't happen now. But he did that, and almost every Friday, like I said, Friday night, Saturday on race days, he did that every time. Well, one time I came in and I was standing in line, and like I said, back then the gas was, you were standing in line quite often if you were going to get it at all. It put a big damper on a lot of the racing that we had back from 72 through 76, because the fuel was going so high and people were cutting corners and things like that. So one of the times that I pulled in, I was many cars back in line, getting ready to fuel up probably my sand rail, and at this particular time, and he knows that we saw him many times. There had been times that I'd be right behind him when he did that, and I'd just look at him. I mean, I'd just look at him and just shake my head. But I was the next car back, and there was many cars behind me, so you had to go up and do that. I mean, you couldn't get out of line, you couldn't do whatever. You were going to get shorted when you got up there if he was in front of you. Now, I don't know if other people were doing it or not, but it just seems like numerous times on a weekend throughout 2 or 3 month period during the race season, saw this guy doing it. There was one time that there was somebody in front of him, then him, and then me in line, and then of course we were all stacked up because we're going right out through here to go to Killcare. It's the gas station, and it's the only place they had the Turbo Blue, where they had the super high octane Turbo Blue for Sunoco that you could race with, unless you got it in Xenia, but that was hard to get in town. The Xenia police didn't like you pulling your double trailers and stack trailers and race car stuff through the center of town to get the gas, so we did it out here in the country. So this guy was in front of him, then me, and we're all sitting there and we're all, BSing outside the cars and whatever and stuff, and he was there, and the guy in front of him did the exact same thing, drained each one of the nozzles into his car. And this guy you should have seen this guy's face. It was like you shot his dog. It was unreal. And he just started, he was starting to huff and he was starting to complain and he started to say something and then he'd stop. And he looked back at me and I was leaned up against the sandrail, and I was leaned up against it, waiting to pump the gas to move on up because I could push the sandrail. I didn't have to start it. All I had to do is push it and it would roll. And he looked at me and I went, "Yeah, it's like looking in a mirror, ain't it?" And he just got real big-eyed and his mouth got real taut. He wanted to say something, but he didn't. But karma gas. I'm telling you, gasoline etiquette at the gas station is something else. But while I was out getting ready to go to gas, that was the story that reminded me. Listen, folks, it all comes around. I'm not preaching, I'm not telling a big story, but the universe will get its just dues. You will pay that pound of flesh. It's worked out that way in my life every time. I think that's more why the way I am now, that it'll all work out. I can't get too upset about it, because if I do, it's not going to work out. I just got to let the universe come around and pay its dues. Not preaching, like I said, just saying. I'm going to get in here and do my thing. This has been an odd story time, but it just popped into my head. It's one of those things. I'm going to go do my thing. Y'all take care of each other. Do your thing. See ya!
Story time is